Hey, welcome to this tutorial on creating tessellations in Inkscape. In this tutorial we're going to take a look at creating this tessellation right here, consisting of lizards. Some of you might recognize this tessellation as a work from the Dutch artist MC Escher, and in fact that is the first step that we're going to take in this process of creating the tessellation. We're going to the MC Escher website, mcescher.com. We navigate to the gallery and we then select symmetry. And here we see a whole range of tessellations that Escher made or created. And we're focusing on this one. So save it to your hard drive and then start a fresh instance of Inkscape and import this image into Inkscape by just dragging it into Inkscape. So grab it, drag it, embedding OK, and then press 3 to zoom in onto it. Maybe zoom in a bit more, so Control scroll up. And something that is noticeable about this image is that there are hexagons overlaid on this tessellation. And in fact, if you look closely, then the lizards are actually deformed hexagons. So the first step into creating this tessellation is to add a single hexagon on top of this image. So click the star and polygon tool, make sure that the number of corners is set to 6, these two fields are set to 0, and draw a hexagon. Now it is important to align this hexagon with the one of the hexagons in this image. So we have to make sure that the position is alright, but also the rotation should be fine. And we can control the rotation by holding on Control, which results in rotations in steps, in increments of, in my case, 15 degrees. This increment can be set if you go to Edit, Preferences, and then here in Behavior Steps, we can set the incremental rotation. Well, 15 is okay for me, so I'll leave it at that. So let's remove this hexagon and add a new one and press Control to, well, control the rotation. Something like this should be okay to start with. We zoom in a bit more. And then a useful trick to actually making sure that it is aligned properly is to make the stroke semi-transparent. So maybe first a different color, shift, click on any color to assign that color as a stroke. And then go to Object, Fill and Stroke, Stroke Paint, where you can set the alpha channel or transparency or opacity. Right, so something like this. Maybe make the stroke a bit thicker. This is a bit much. And then make sure to align it properly, something like this. And then by holding Control we can scale it evenly, and something like this should be fine. Okay, we can decrease this stroke width a little bit. This looks about right. Okay, now the next step is to create a clone of this hexagon. So we go to Edit, Clone, Create Clone, or Alt-D. And this clone we would like to rotate 120 degrees, such that it matches kind of the orientation of the green lizard, but on top of the red lizard. So we take it, click again to make the rotate handles appear, press Control again, and rotate counterclockwise 120 degrees. In the status bar below here, you can see how much rotation you have applied. So something like this. Now we would like to have 2 more of those. So for this red lizard and this one here. We do not want to create another clone of this guy here. If you do this, Alt-D, what you will see again in the status bar here is that we have a clone of a clone, which is not what we want. So we delete this guy. Instead we can just duplicate this one. So edit, duplicate, Ctrl D, drag it around, snap it and press space to make a stamp of it. And again, one for this position. And we do the same for the white lizard. So we make a clone, Alt D, drag it here. Now we rotate it 120 degrees clockwise. Oh, sorry guys, it was the wrong button. 120 degrees clockwise, like this. Drag it, stamp it by pressing space. Again and again. All right. Now we would like to select the original hexagon, which we can do as follows. With one of the clones selected, we can go to Edit, Clone, select Original. Now we press the Home button, such that when we press it next time, or select it, click it next time, it gets selected. All right. The next step is to transform this hexagon or polygon into a path. So we go to Path, Object to Path. And then if we go to Node Tool by pressing N or F2, or this icon here, we see that the nodes appear. Now, what we can do, and I see that in the process of creating the clones that I moved my background image. So let me restore that as, oh boy. That is a bit annoying. Something like this. Looks fine. All right. So Node Tool. Now what we would like to do is add extra nodes, and you can do that by simply double clicking on a selected path in well, once the node editing is on. So we double click and we can drag this to, well, line it up with a point on the outline of the lizard. And by doing this, you'll see that the clones do the same thing, but then in the proper orientation. So we repeat this procedure. We double click on the path to create a new node and we drag it to the correct position. So we zoom in a bit to fine tune it, and then we just repeat the process of doing this to trace the outline of the lizard. Maybe add another one here. This corner node we can actually move. We can just place it here and add a couple of nodes here to trace the tail of the lizard. If you want, of course, you can add more nodes to do it a bit more accurately, but for demonstration purposes, I'll just do it like this. Okay, this looks about right. So we already did 2 out of the 6 sides of the hexagon, and because of the clones, we have actually 4 sides already done. This side is done automatically, as is this side. So if we continue with this one here, zoom in a bit, and this node we would like to actually snap to this point. Make sure that your snapping is on, so snap to sharp nodes here. So move it and snap it here. And then just repeat the procedure as before. So double click on the path to create nodes and then drag them and position them at the correct positions. Like this. Okay, this can be a bit better. This looks about right. Okay. So for now we are done with the background image, so we can, oh boy, we can move it aside and focus on the clones. Some of them we can remove. For instance, this one can go, this one, and I think this one as well. Yeah, we still have the outline of the lizard here. Now we select all clones. We go to Edit, Clones, Unlink Clones. We unselect the middle one, or, well, we can just select the 3 outer ones. Shift click on something like, well, black, or just a different color than the original pink one, to be able to distinguish between the 4 paths. We go again into node edit mode by pressing N, or this button here, and we remove this segment of our path. So if you click between 2 nodes, those 2 nodes gets selected, and then in the toolbar, if you click on this one, delete segment, well, the segment gets deleted. We can do the same for this segment right here, as well as this one. Now we select one of the gray paths, and we select the two nodes that connect to the, or coincide with nodes on the pink path. So this one, shift select the other node. We then click this break path and selected nodes and go into path break apart. What this does is it breaks apart the path at those selected two nodes, so we can remove this part now. Select both paths, go into the node tool again. Now you'll see that this node overlaps because, well, it's there twice, once for the gray path and once for the pink one. So we can select both of them. Here in the toolbar you can see 2 of 37 nodes selected. And merge them by pressing join selected nodes or shift J. And we do the same thing for this guy here, shift J. And the same thing we do for the remaining 2 gray paths. So we select this one here, this node, and shift select this one. Break apart, shift Ctrl K to break the path. Remove this part. And for this one, the same procedure, select this node. Oh, there was a path, only this one, and this one. Break path, shift Ctrl K to break up the path itself. Remove it, and now we can select all 3 paths. Node tool, join this one, join this one, and finally, that's it already. There's nothing else to join. Nice. So basically we're done. This is our, well, the resulting outline of the lizard. And in order to check if we did things properly, go to the transform tab. So you can get there from, I believe, object, here, transform. Go into rotate and angle 120 degrees. First duplicate it by pressing Ctrl D, then pressing apply here. Maybe assign it a different stroke color, so for instance red, and using space add a couple of stamps or instances of those guys. One of those red we can duplicate again, rotate again by 120 degrees more, assign say green to it. And then finally we obtain something that is very similar to what we started with our preview. By the way, instead of using this color palette, there's this tiny arrow here on the right hand side, which allows you to select different color palettes. So for instance, the Tango icons on my Linux distribution uses this color palette. So we can, or if you're interested in using different palettes, then you can use a different one using this arrow. Anyway, well, this is it. If you like to, you can of course use this outline as an input file for, say, a laser cutter, or you can create a 3D version of this guy in, for instance, Blender by extruding it and sending it to a 3D printer to make a 3D version of it, or anything else that you can come up with. And well, of course, anything else on the Escher website. Any other tessellation can be well, created in basically the same way. You just have to discover what kind of basic shape is used for the shape. So for instance, here triangles are used. More triangles. Here we have parallelograms. Here we have probably squares. Yeah, so sometimes you can see or observe which shape was used by checking out the outlines, but not all the tessellations have outlines on top of them. All right, well, That's it. I hope you enjoyed the tutorial. If you have any questions or remarks, comments, let me know, and thank you for watching.